of life by the River Thames. From the Docklands in the East End to the infamous Tower of London, life on the river was full of crime and gruesome consequences. If you were charged with theft, murder or treason in the 16th and 17th centuries, you could be one of the unfortunate few facing some form of torture. Torture was never formally part of English law, but took place when permission was given by monarchs of the time to extract confessions and information about crimes.
The majority of prisoners were tortured at the notorious Tower of London. And the rack was the Tower's most infamous implement. It was said that it was a big favourite of Elizabeth I. So come with me into the dungeon. I'll show you there's a rack here. Now the rack was basically a large frame with these wooden rollers on it. I'm going to jump up here, look. I'll show you that one warder could operate it by turning the lever like so. Are
Can
you
I
my
be
one
your warder?
My one warder. Right, I'll lie down, hang on, put my hands in.
Are you comfy? I hope not. Now, this made the head and foot of the rack move in opposite directions and at the same time stretch the prisoner.
That's enough, Connie. My hands aren't actually in, but it has sorted me back out.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good. Now, another instrument that was very popular for torturing is over here. It is the scavenger's daughter. It was designed by Sir Leonard Skeffington, a lieutenant of the Tower under King Henry VIII, and it did the opposite of the rack. Instead of stretching the victim's body, it was compressed. Matthias Tanner, a Jesuit priest in the 17th century, described it in vivid detail. He said,
"The prisoner's body is folded in three, with the shins up against the stomach. The torturer then forces the ends of the two iron bars together and locks the prisoner inside, almost crushing his body with a hellish compression. This is an inhuman torture in every way, and it's worse than the rack."
Ew. Now, it posed a real danger to life, and perhaps for this reason it was rarely used.
Now these manacles also look terrifying. These iron rings here would be placed around the wrists, and then the prisoner would be left hanging above the ground, sometimes for up to 6 hours at a time. Obviously would leave the victim's hands useless for some time afterwards. Certainly wouldn't want my hands in there, and I definitely wouldn't want them in here either. This is the dreaded thumb screw, and the screw would be turned very, very slowly and tightened against the fingers or the thumbs until they eventually broke.
Ow! I like that. Can I have a go? Now, probably the most famous prisoner to be tortured at the Tower was Guy Fawkes. No one knows if Fawkes was put on the rack or if he confessed before being tortured, but just have a look at his signatures. This one was before he was taken to the Tower, and this one was written after. I'll let you make up your own mind. Crushed fingers.
Now, torture was carried out by the warders of the Tower, otherwise known as beefeaters. Surprisingly, the actual number of people who were tortured was relatively small, and most prisoners would confess as soon as they saw what was in store for them. Now that doesn't surprise me.
I do not blame them. I'd say everything, I think. Now, further down the River Thames, torture and punishment were combined as a deterrent to the gangs of thieves, smugglers and river pirates who made London's East End port a dangerous place. With no police force in the area until the beginning of the 19th century, crime flourished.
Now just have a look at this 18th century iron gibbet. Basically a deterrent for any pirates or criminals entering the area. If they did enter the area and they did get caught, then they would be hanged at a public execution. The body would then be tarred and displayed in this cage or gibbet as a fierce reminder.
If this has whet your appetite and you want to know more about the darker side of London, then make sure that you log on to our website for details of the Torture in the Tower exhibition and the museum in Docklands, and Blue Peter badge winners get in free.
Cool.
Lots to do over summer.
There is indeed, and don't forget that we're here all summer as well, and here's a sneak preview of some of the great stuff that's coming up.
We're on air.
And the